What is up, Heat Seekers? We're back. Week 7 already. Can you guys believe that shit? Week
Crazy.
7.
It's going way
Week
too
7.
fast.
By Mageddon, by Apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're dealing with this week. We're going to cover everything, answer your questions, and just have a good time this Sunday morning before football gets going. First off, Bryce, how was your week 6, and how are your teams doing through 6 weeks?
I'm doing all right in kind of the leagues that I'm not tanking in. I'm kind of 3-3, 4-2. Week 6 was huge for me. I got the win in the most important league for me, so I'm still in the running and the playoffs in all my leagues. So, but it's getting there, and this bye week is something I got to get past.
Matt, what about you?
It was a good week as well. Unfortunately, in the league Bryce was just referring to, the third Derrick Henry touchdown killed me, and I lost by a couple points. But I'm excited for this awful week 7 we have in front of us. We'll call it a challenging week 7.
I'm excited for the awfulness. Sully.
Howdy. I got a bit of a mixed bag. I got a lot of 3-3, so I got some decisions to make as to how I move forward in those leagues. Playing a bunch of guillotine leagues, and I was in one with Paul Churchy in kind of a industry league, and my head got chopped off last week, so that was a little disappointing. But hey, I'm happy to be here, and my teams are okay. So we still got a lot of time to fix the okay and turn it into something.
Awesome. Well, we got Joseph in here saying, "Morning, fellas." Wow, that does not work
Joe.
at all. Let's go ahead and we tried. Joseph says, "Morning, fellas. Happy football Sunday."
Morning, Joe.
Where did my comments go? We've got Brady in here saying morning. And then Joseph comes in. These bye weeks are killing me. I need 2 flex spots to start full PPR. I got Freeman, Corey Davis, Ramondre Stevenson, or Alex Collins. My gut says pick up Ayuk for tonight. Would you drop anyone for him? I think we should say that tonight there are supposed to be some hellacious winds for that 49ers Colts game, 30 to 40 mile an hour winds. I don't know that I would go with Ayuk in that case. I personally probably going with Corey Davis. What about you, Bryce?
He needs 2 of them. I'm definitely going Alex Collins as one of them. The last time Corey Davis played New England, he did get shut down pretty bad, which is what we thought would happen. But I still think that he gets better volume out of all these guys. Ramondre Stevenson would be another guy that I think is going to have a good week, but that's just too risky. So I'm going to go Alex Collins and Corey Davis for the 2 flex spots.
Jamison Crowder wasn't there in that game when he was not active when Corey Davis got shut down. So there is at least some help for Corey Davis in this game where he didn't have any in that last one. Let me ask you this before we go any further. Does Rashad Penny being active scare anybody off of Alex Collins?
Yep.
No.
In this specific situation, no. I would also go Collins and Corey Davis. But it does have, I am tempering my expectations, but not to the point that I would start Freeman or Stevenson.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a situation where Alex Collins is banged up and far from 100%. Penny's coming in off of IR, and they're facing a defense that gives up 53 rushing yards a week, and Collins isn't catching any passes in that offense. So I'm really weary of Alex Collins this week, and no one loves Alex Collins more than this guy. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I thought it was really a pleasant surprise that he sort of took the Bolden role in the last game for the Patriots. So perhaps he's the pass catching back, and that's a good thing. And Corey Davis, I know that Bryce is right. That he did get shut down, and Bryce also points out every week, and he's right every week, is that the Patriots take away your top guy. But I think that there's a lot more moving parts to Rick's point. So I'd go Corey Davis and Ramondre here.
Matt, what about you?
I'll go Corey Davis and Alex Collins. Seattle loves to run the ball, and I know San Fran's tough to run against, but I just don't love the other options. Stevenson's floor is too low. Oh, I'm sorry, Saints. Sorry.
I'm off the Alex Collins train for this week for reasons like Sully pointed out. Corey Davis, and it's actually Devonta Freeman for me, with Latavius Murray out and them not liking Tyson Williams for whatever reason. Freeman got the most work, and he was the most efficient back in that lineup. And there's always multiple rushing touchdown upside for a running back for Baltimore. It's not pretty, but as Steb says down here, happy bipocalypse. So Freeman and Davis for me. If Waller is out, do I go Goddard or Ricky Seals-Jones? This is Brady over on YouTube. Sully, where are you going if Waller is out? Goddard or Ricky Seals-Jones?
Goddard. I might actually go Goddard over Waller this week, to be totally honest. But it'd be Goddard for sure over Ricky Seals-Jones, which is also a really viable option, who I like a lot.
Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to go Goddard as well. I mean, both of these guys are going to play probably 90% of the snaps or more, but I'll go Goddard here.
It's Goddard for me as well.
Yeah,
Bryce.
Clean sweep. I'm going Goddard here.
Nice. Our first clean sweep of the week. And then Alfonso says, is Rashad Penny a good flex play? 16-man, half PPR. Matt, 16-teamer.
Yeah, I mean, with how bad buys are this week and injuries in a 16-team league, sure. I'm using him in a 12-team league. So, yeah, I think he'd be a fine play.
I agree with that in a 16-man, half PPR league. No matter what, the flex isn't going to be pretty in that league, right? Not this week at least. So I think Rashad Penny is fine there. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. I would just need more context to see who you were maybe potentially starting him over. But with the bye weeks, I wouldn't feel too bad putting him in my flex spot.
Sully, I see you nodding your head. You in agreement?
Yeah, you should see some of the shit I have in my lineups this week. In a 16-team league, I absolutely would start him.
I mean, on a week where Dante Pettis is a valid consideration for a start or a DFS play, I can get on board with Rashad Penny too. Is it 2018 again?
Right. Who would
I
have
don't know
thought
what's going on. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that right now with
Devonta Freeman. Rashad Penny.
Exactly.
What are we doing here? Should I start Marquise Brown or pick up and start Sterling Shepard? That's Dr. Tatum's over there on YouTube. Myself, I'm playing Marquise Brown. I'm playing Marquise Brown every week. I know that the field hasn't caught up to the fact that Marquise Brown is pretty good. And the two worst games he's had are the two games where he had a little bit of dropsy problems. He's dropped 4 touchdowns in those 2 games where he's put up at least, I think, 18 points. I wrote it up in my article that came out this week. He's just putting up numbers, and he's fairly consistent. Bryce, where are you going with this one?
Yeah, I agree. I love Marquise Brown. I'm starting him every single week. He's that team's number one. Lamar's thrown a lot better this year than he has in the past. The dude's a touchdown machine. So, yeah, Marquise Brown pretty easily for me.
A lot better and a lot more and a lot deeper. Like everything is improved for that passing game. Sully.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Marquise Brown is a top 12 fantasy wide receiver going forward. And still, if you have the opportunity, still pick up Sterling Shepard, but just keep him on your bench. He's a game time decision today, so we don't know what's going to happen, but he's been very efficient when he's been in the lineup. So if you have the opportunity to pick him up, pick him up. I just wouldn't start him this week unless you have to.
We don't. That's the other problem with Shepard, right? We don't even know if we'll make it till halftime.
He might not start at all today.
Well, right, but I mean, even when he goes into a game healthy, we just don't know.
Yep.
Right.
Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as Sully. I would pick up Shepard, but I would definitely start Marquise Brown instead over him.
Anthony says, look at all these handsome gentlemen this beautiful football Sunday morning. That's the nicest thing Anthony's ever said to any of us.
Yeah, I can't tell he's in sales, eh?
Khalil Herbert or Damian Williams? Lazarus Tyrell over there on YouTube wants to know. Bryce.
Man, this is hard. They got a tough matchup against Tampa Bay. I'm probably going to go Damian Williams because I could only imagine if he's coming back, he's going to be their, pass catching back. and there's a good chance that they're going to have to utilize that early rather than later in that game. So I'll lean Damian Williams.
Sully.
This one's really tough. I think I'm on the Damian Williams side as well, just because Tampa Bay's run defense is so solid, and they're actually quite bad against pass-catching running backs. So, Rick, I defer to you. If Herbert's going to catch any passes, then maybe, but I think it's Damian Williams.
Yeah, I will also go with Damian Williams here for the same reasons I mentioned.
Herbert could get a couple receptions, but with the way Tampa Bay stuffs the run, he's probably going to be pretty inefficient in that regard. And he will cede some carries to Damian Williams as well. So
yeah,
if I have to play one of them, it would be Damian Williams, because Tampa Bay does get beat up a little bit by the pass catching running back while just shutting down, the rushing attack. So that's where I would be there. We got Main over on YouTube says Gesicki or AJ Green.
It's a good problem to
have. For me, it's Gesicki, but don't sleep on AJ Green. I think people don't understand or realize how productive he's been this year. So he's definitely viable in a week like this, but I would lean Gesicki here by a bit.
Matt.
Yeah, I will also go Gesicki here, but given all the issues this week, that's a good problem to have for sure.
Yeah, most of your start sits are going to be a little bit harder than this one, or a little bit uglier, I should say, right?
Yeah.
I'm also on the Gesicki train here. He is running more routes out of the slot than he is as an inline tight end, right? Yeah. And Atlanta gets torched by the slot receiver, and it looks like Parker's going to be out. So when you couple all that together, Atlanta with a terrible defense in a game that could be a bad team shootout per se, it's not the, Rams versus Buccaneers or something like that. These teams could go back and forth, and there could be a lot of targets up for grabs for Gesicki this week. He's been getting targeted pretty heavily. So I like him there, but AJ Green is underrated this year in that Arizona offense. Bryce.
Yeah, I agree with all the points you made. Gesicki, in my opinion, is a top 5 tight end play this week. I think he and Jalen Waddle go nuts today for the same reasons you said. This might be a shootout between two really bad teams.
Agree.
Travis Howard over on Facebook. How you doing, buddy? I've known Travis for 25 years. Should I drop Julio Jones for Jalen Waddle? And I'm going to assume this is redraft. So, Matt, Dolphins fan, what are you doing? Are you rostering Julio Jones or Jalen Waddle?
If I had to drop someone for Waddle, I would definitely rather have Waddle the rest of the season than Julio, just based on presumed health, with Julio always being banged up. I would look to see if there was anyone else you could drop, but if you had to, I would drop Jones for Waddle. What about you, Sully?
See you later, Julio.
Bryce.
I thought I was going to be a minority.
We know Bryce is answer.
I love Jalen Waddle. Yeah, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah, I the volume that he's getting and is going to continue to get for Miami, I think, is going to be big. And as we seen the other night, it seemed like a throwback to Atlanta days where Tennessee was inside the 15 and Julio was not on the field.
It's insane.
It has been crazy. It's been a big mystery for years of why Julio Jones isn't on the field in those times. And that was before he hurt the hamstring. So it wasn't the injury. He was just in on that drive and then just standing on the sideline when they're inside the 15. Waddle for me too. It's a clean sweep. Here we go. This is what we thought we were going to get when it came to my apocalypse.
Ugly.
Who am I starting? Rashad Penny, Ronald Jones, Kenneth Gainwell. These are my choices. I think there's this is what we expected. Yeah. I'm starting Rashad Penny just because I think there's a clearer path to touches for him. People don't realize, obviously, Kenneth Gainwell had a little bit of a spark at the beginning of the year, but Miles Sanders played like 93% of the snaps. In this past game, he's the squeaky wheel narrative of the week where they're saying they need to get Miles Sanders more touches, which does not bode well for Kenneth Gainwell. And then Ronald Jones is never the answer.
Good to hear.
Rashad Penny. Bryce.
Yeah, I agree. Ronald Jones definitely is not the answer. I don't mind Kenneth Gainwell, but I've also been looking into Miles Sanders. He's been like a big topic through the Roto Heat this week. A lot of people are saying buy low. They're going to get him more involved. He is talented, but so I'm going to steer clear of Kenneth Gainwell, and Rashad Penny's got that PPR upside that I look to see. I don't think he gets many carries this week, but he might get you 5 catches for 65 yards and maybe he gets in the end zone. So I'll go Penny as well.
And even though he hasn't been on the field a whole lot in his career, he has shown some big play potential in the minimum touches he's got. Sully.
Yeah, I think based on what you were saying earlier in path to touches, I think Miles Sanders is gonna mute Kenneth Gainwell for a while here, and I think Miles Sanders is probably one of the best buy candidates in fantasy football right now. Rashard Penny, we know that Pete Carroll's stubborn. We know that they burnt a first-round pick on this kid, and he hasn't really been healthy. So I think he gets a fair shot in his first game, especially with Collins banged up. And Ronald Jones is never the answer, so it is Rashard Penny.
Clean sweep, 4 for 4. I will go Penny as well for everything that they mentioned. And I'm probably the biggest Gainwell fan in the room. But yeah, you can't.
Don't drop Gainwell. Don't drop Gainwell. He'll have his time, but not right now.
Agreed. And with the workload that Sanders is getting, you just can't play him right now.
And it officially means that Ronald Jones is going to be the answer here, and we're all gonna look dumb.
There's no way. Yeah. No way. I dropped him in a dynasty league the other day, 30-man rosters, and I dropped Ronald Jones.
Alfonso says, "Thanks, guys. You are welcome.
You are welcome. Hopefully, we're right."
Anthony has another one.
Oh.
Talk about an ugly option. And we all have these. That's not making fun of Anthony. We all have these if you play enough.
We can make fun of Anthony if you want, though.
We can't. Yeah, we definitely can. Juwan Johnson or Anthony Ferkster? Sully, why don't you start us off and drop some knowledge?
Well, I don't know if I could drop any knowledge, but I think when you're looking at mediocre tight ends, the separator is touchdowns. I think if anyone's going to score a touchdown here, it's Juwan Johnson. So I'm going to hold my nose and go with him.
Matt?
I'll also go Juwan Johnson, but since we're looking at bottom of the barrel tight ends, even with the weather conditions tonight, I would probably look at Dwelly over both of these guys if he's available. But I'll lean Juwan Johnson out of these two. What about you, Bryce or Rick?
Go ahead, Bryce.
Okay, I'm actually going to lean Ferkster here. I do agree that Juwan Johnson has found the end zone a couple of times, but I think that Kansas City is gonna. I know every team probably really needs to focus on Derrick Henry this week, but we saw when they got to the playoffs when Derrick Henry had that amazing run, Kansas City was able to, find the method of stopping him, and I think they're going to be able to do that again this week. I think Derrick Henry has a little bit quieter of a week than most people expect this week, which means they're going to have to go to the air. Julio's not healthy. AJ Brown is starting to play again. It might open the door for Berkshire to see some sneaky good value this week. So I'm going to lean him for this week. Rick?
I still can't decide. I do want to say that there's another sneaky option that's out there on waivers right now, and that's Ryan Griffin, who ran 83% of the routes in their last game. Since Tyler Kroft has been out, he's been the option for the Jets. So that's another sneaky option that's out there right now. If it came down to these two, I do agree that I probably got to agree with Bryce just because Anthony Ferkster runs way more routes. Juwan Johnson he doesn't run very many, but he is in on some of the high leverage opportunities. But if he doesn't get that, then it's basically a zero if he doesn't get that touchdown in your lineup thus far. So it's a tough one. These are the situations we thought we were going to see a lot of today. Bars in the Tuck says, good morning and happy football. Full PPR, pick a tight end. Ricky Seals-Jones or Mr. Ertz that's now in Arizona. Matt, who you going with, Ricky Seals-Jones or Zach Ertz?
I will go Seals Jones. I just want to see a week of Ertz in that offense first.
Bryce.
What about you, Sully? Bryce?
Yeah, I would do that too, man. I agree. I'm going to wait and see what Ertz does in this offense first. Does he pick it up right away? I mean, I know he's a veteran, probably a very smart football player. If he gets utilized like Max Williams was, I would like to, see he's got a lot of potential later in the year. But Ricky Seals-Jones was good last week, and I'm going to stick with that until I see Ertz's role in that offense.
Sully.
Ricky Seals-Jones is running more routes than Logan Thomas was in that Washington offense. So I'm going to go with him and keep riding the hot hand. He's played great, and I see no reason to have him over Ertz, regardless of where Ertz is playing.
Clean sweep. Ricky Seals-Jones, fire him up. Laura says, flex McKissick, Mitchell, or Mooney. This one's a good one.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I like McKissick a lot this week. Green Bay's a huge favorite. Antonio Gibson still has a bad shin, and we don't know what we're going to get out of him, even though they're expecting him to play. And even if he is involved, McKissick still has all the 2-minute drill, fast-paced, trailing, pass-catching work. And it sounds like right now we don't know what we're going to get out of that backfield with Mitchell, Hasty, and Sermon active. And then Mooney would be the one that I'm probably, I don't want to say has most upside. Tampa Bay can be beat in the passing game, but Tampa Bay also puts a lot of pressure on. So is Justin Fields going to have time to get the ball out is my worry. I think McKissick has a decent floor with a solid upside. So I think I go that route. Bryce, where are you going?
I personally think we do know what we're going to get with San Fran. I think it's going to be Elijah Mitchell all day. It seemed like as soon as he came back from injury, Trey Sermon had 20 carries the week prior and had 1 that week. Elijah Mitchell seems to be their guy. I'm expecting at minimum 15 touches for that for him, and I think that's just a safe floor in this situation. But I will agree with Rick. If you need a ceiling, I think McKissick has that over all these guys pretty easily. But I'm going to be safe and go with Elijah Mitchell and hope he finds the end zone with one of those touches.
Sully.
Well, we might as well keep this interesting. I'll pick a different one because I think that I like all 3 of these options, to be totally honest. I think all 3 of them find ways into most people's lineups this week. You beat Tampa Bay through the air, and Chicago's going to be trailing, and they're going to have to throw. And Mooney seems to be Justin Fields' favorite target. I like the upside of Mooney. The safe play to me is Mitchell because I do think he has the clearest road to touches, but I like them all. But I'd go Mooney here by a hair.
If I'm not mistaken, the Colts have been pretty dominant against the run game, though.
They have.
That is another reservation that I had. I can't remember their exact numbers, but Matt.
I will be the tiebreaker, and I will lean with Sully and go Mooney, just with the Bears playing from behind. I think there could be a lot of targets there. And hopefully Fields finally connects with somebody on a deep ball this week, and it could be Mooney. So I'll go Mooney.
2 Mooney, 1 Mitchell, 1 McKissick. Mooney's the winner.
That's a lot of M's.
That is a lot of M's. Anthony said Dwelly was rostered in his situation, so that's why he didn't go that route. The 49ers fan probably would have scooped him up. Simplex Sammy says Bateman or Boyd to start today. This one's pretty interesting. We've seen Rashad Bateman come back and get I've seen reports of 22% or 26% of the targets from his week or his first week in the NFL. Matt, if you got to start one of these guys, which one are you starting?
I'm going to go Bateman. I think he's just going to be on the last week. Like you mentioned, he had a really good target share, and I don't know the snap percentage offhand. I was about to look it up and ran out of time. But he only played, I want to say 50 or 60% of the snaps and still led the team in targets, I believe. Boyd has just not really been useful. Now that Chase is there, him and Higgins, they're going to command all the targets. So I'll go Bateman. What about you, Sully?
I'm the same way, and it's that last point. It's, straight up in a vacuum, it would be Boyd for me. But in that Cincinnati offense, when Higgins and Chase are on the field, Boyd's just an underutilized asset. So I'm going to go with Bateman. I think he ran routes on 80% of his snaps last week in his first game. So I like the upside there. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I liked his utilization the first week. They kind of weaning him back in there. I would expect him to get more he's going to get more playing time this week, and hopefully that, accumulates to more targets and more production. I think Bateman can be a guy that, gets up there in the charts and is a guy that you just lock in your lineup every single week. So I'm going to go him as well. Rick?
We are in agreement. Another clean
Synergy
sweep.
here is
Bateman
awesome today.
over Boyd, but this is where it's going to get interesting, right? So it looks like Sterling Shepard is going to be out today. So that means what? No Galladay, no Shepard, no Slayton, no
Tony.
Slayton was a maybe, wasn't he?
Is he still a maybe? Okay, so no Galladay, no Tony, no Shepard. Looks like it could be Slayton,
Pettis, and John Ross,
Dante Pettis, who had 11 targets last week, which leads us into our next question. Dante Pettis or Jalen Darden? And I think this easily has to be Pettis for me.
Yeah, this is Pettis.
He should get volume, especially with Sterling Shepard out and all those other guys out. His 11 targets didn't turn into like a huge day. That's why a lot of people didn't realize he got 11 targets last week. But there's no way he's not going to get targeted today. Bryce, where are you going here?
Yeah, I'm easily leaning that way. I noticed that he got that many targets. It didn't accumulate too much, but if he gets it again, you'd have to expect that. I mean, you can't bench a guy that's getting 11 targets. I mean, yeah, easily Pettis here.
Sully.
I really want to say Jalen Darden, but the right answer is Pettis.
It's 2018 again.
It's silly.
Matt. I don't know if Matt's with us right now.
Yes, it's
I think he froze up.
Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what's going on with my connection. I'm definitely, if it's on me, I'm going Pettis for sure. Tyler Johnson's definitely the next man up in Tampa. And even after that, it's probably Scotty Miller. I'm going to go.
Scotty Miller's on hour.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. I'm going to go Pettis fairly easily in this one.
M. Nasty back for another Sunday. Wants to know, full PPR, need one running back and a flex. So at running back, we have Mike Davis, Damian Harris, Khalil Herbert. We got to start one of them, and then whoever's remaining out of the running backs plus Sutton, who already played. So that's not going to matter. Oh, he already says that. He says that. Robert Woods, Jalen Waddle, Cordarrelle Patterson, Tyreek Hill.
What is going
Okay,
on?
so let me figure this out here. We need one running back and a flex. Which running back are you starting, Bryce? Mike Davis, Damian Harris, Herbert.
This is the 1 week where I think Damian Harris is the answer. So I'm going to go Damian Harris easily at my running back here. He's got 2 touchdown upside this week. And my wide receiver or my flex option. So he's already got Hill and Sutton locked in and Patterson. So it's basically between Robert Woods and Jalen Waddle. I'm gonna go Jalen Waddle and Damian Harris for me.
Sully.
Damian Harris for sure. I believe that Bryce is bang on there. I think it's a good week for him. It comes down to Woods and Waddle for me, and I just think that Waddle has the clear path to targets, receptions, and production. So I'm with Bryce. It's Harris and Waddle for me.
Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. I typically never pick Damian Harris, but in this situation against the Jets, I really like him. And I'll go Waddle as well. I like Robert Woods this week still, but Waddle's definitely a lot safer.
I'm a little bit different because I'm going Mike Davis here, and I know it's not the pretty answer, which none of these running backs are this. But Mike Davis is one of a few running backs that have scored at least 10 PPR points in every single week. He hasn't had the explosive games of Patterson, but he is the guy that is getting, the volume there from a running perspective, while Patterson's getting a lot of his boom plays in the pass game. But I do agree on Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is my play here, even though Robert Woods could be a benefactor of the Matthew Stafford revenge game to Detroit. So I'm Mike Davis and Waddle.
He might throw 8 touchdowns today.
But three of them went with Damian Harris, Brandon Cooks, or Chris Godwin. Bryce.
I'm going Chris Godwin. We got Gronk and AB out this week. It's going to be Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them over 20 fantasy points this week.
Sully.
I agree, but I would do my best to try to find a good way to get Cooks into my lineup as well.
Also agree. I will go Godwin. If AB was playing, I would probably go Cooks, but with AB out, I'm going to go Godwin. It could be a really big Godwin week.
Arizona is dominant against the pass, and that is something to worry about when Davis Mills is the quarterback on the other side. So while I do typically like Brandon Cooks, Arizona has just dominated quarterbacks, and I want no piece of that offense today if I can avoid it, which leads me right into Chris Godwin. Also the play for me. Denny is starting D-Hop Cup. He needs a flex and a full PPR. AJ Brown or Mike Evans. Okay. Thoughts on that? Is it AJ Brown or Mike Evans, Sully?
It is Mike Evans for the points we mentioned earlier about AB and Gronk being out. You get down into the red zone, it's Mike Evans' time, I think, today. So I'm going with him.
Matt.
I will agree as well. I'll go Mike Evans. Just hard to trust Tennessee receivers with how much they run the ball. So I'll go Mike Evans. What about you, Bryce?
Yeah, Mike Evans had a bad week last week fantasy-wise, which means he's probably going to put up 25-plus this week. He does it every single time he gets involved. The week after, like Tom Brady, feels bad that a player had a bad week, so they make sure they have a good one the next one. I don't know, but Mike Evans pretty easily. Yeah.
I think it's a lot closer.
Oh, it's close.
Yeah, it's not like far gap, but I'm still leaning Mike Evans.
I think Mike Evans is the safer play here, and AJ Brown is your potential explosion playing in a game versus Kansas City, shootout potential. Whereas Mike Evans doesn't really have the shootout potential because Chicago offense, as a Bears fan, I do not trust it from week to week. So I think you go Mike Evans if you need the safe play, and AJ Brown if you need the explosive upside play. Derek Carr, Jalen Hurts. I'll just get this out of the way. I think Jalen Hurts is just a start until he's not a starter in the NFL. Matt, what do you think?
Hurts. I'll speak for Sully. He's going Hurts. What about you, Bryce? Sorry, Sully.
Yeah.
Taking your thunder.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about it for a while. It's weird that he's not a very good quarterback for a team, but his fantasy value is just top 10. I think Sully mentioned I saw on a Facebook comment that Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback to be a top 10 performer every single week so far this year. So that's consistency. So Jalen
he has
Hurts
started.
easily.
Sorry, I thought you were done, and I started too soon. He has started 10 games in the NFL. He has went over 20 points in all 10 games.
Wow.
I don't think any other quarterback has went 10 games in a row with 20 plus in that stretch. So he's got a
Slam
floor.
dunk.
He's got a pretty darn good floor. He might get there in the last 2 minutes of a game versus Tampa Bay.
Oh, it won't be pretty, and you don't want to be a fan of his team, but Blake Bortles was a top 12 quarterback for 2 straight years as well. There's a path to being a top fantasy quarterback without being a decent or real NFL quarterback, and that's what Jalen Hurts is.
Story. Start 2 wide receivers, standard scoring. Sterling Shepard versus Panthers. It looks like he's not going to play, so we can eliminate that if the news I'm getting from Discord is correct. Looks like Shepard's going to be out. Christian Kirk versus the Texans. Bateman versus Bengals. Hunter Renfrow versus Eagles. So he needs 2 of these wide receivers, and I'm personally going Bateman, Renfrow if I need the safer play. Christian Kirk slots in over Renfrow if I need the potential boom play. That's how I would approach it. Sully, where are you going there?
I'm going to go with Bateman and Renfrow. I think it's pretty straightforward for me.
Matt?
I'll also go Bateman, Renfrow, but I agree with Rick that if you need an upside play, Kirk probably has a little more of a ceiling than Renfrow does. And Bryce?
This is standard scoring, so I'm going Christian Kirk and Bateman. Renfrow, I just don't trust to get into the end zone as much as I trust Christian Kirk. Seems like he always has 2 touchdown potential, and then Bateman being more involved in that offense, I trust him just a little bit more than Renfro. In PPR, it's Bateman and Renfro though.
I'd like to go ahead. So I just want to change mine. I actually did not notice the standard scoring, and I was pretty close between Renfro and Kirk, so I am also going to go Kirk. So I'll go Kirk and Bateman for my answer.
Well, I was going to say I'm still going Renfro because if Waller is out, even if it's a standard league, it doesn't matter in regards to the PPR aspect versus, Kirk versus Renfro when it comes to a safe place, right? Because if Waller's out, Renfro probably gets 13 targets in this game. And that's the same as, Kirk getting 4 targets that could, be 80 yards. So I don't think it makes that big of a difference if Waller isn't playing or we find out he is not going to be or he's going to be limited, I should say.
So if he plays, are you putting in Kirk over Renfro?
I still think Renfro's the safer play. Christian Kirk, even though it's the Texans, this could turn into a James Conner 2-touchdown game. It just as likely as it is a Christian Kirk 2-touchdown game. And that's the issue here with that Texans team in general. Anybody past Hopkins could just not have a good day and have a 0 floor just because of how many mouths there are to feed. Even though I like all the players there more than Renfro. Like literally there's not a player in Arizona's offense in the passing game that I like less than Renfro, but Renfro's in a better spot. N Savvy says need upside flex. Hardman, Callaway, AJ Green, or Christian Kirk. Upside he needs. Matt.
I'm between Green and Hardman. I'll go Hardman for the upside. If you need upside, I want Mahomes as my quarterback, so I'll go Hardman here. What about you, Sully?
I think the upside play is scary, but it's Marquise Callaway for me. I think against that Seattle defense, be on the lookout for the weather in Seattle as well. It looks like it's going to be similar to what we're going to experience in San Francisco tonight. But from a pure upside standpoint, Callaway has 152 potential against that Seahawks defense. Bryce?
I'm also going to lean Hardman. He's getting a decent amount of targets. He's got the big play ability. And like you said, I want the best quarterback for that situation. So I'll lean Hardman, but all 4 of these are decent options. Right?
Yeah, this is a good problem to have if you're looking for upside, because I think every one of these guys has multiple touchdown upside because of the situations they're in, which makes it hard to pick AJ Green or Christian Kirk, right? You don't want to pick the wrong one on that team because it's probably not going to be both of them. So I go with Hardman here as well. So I think we have 3 Hardman, 1 Callaway, but it is nice to see for those that bought into Callaway preseason that they're finally starting to get him more involved and that he's showing some of that upside people thought that he had.
There's no Deontay Harris. No Deontay Harris this week for the Saints either. That's another reason I went that way.
Simplex Sammy says, you guys rock. Thanks, fellas. No problem at all. This is the situation we're in. A.J. Brown, a lot of people had him as the wide receiver 1 going into the year. And now we're trying to decide, are we playing A.J. Brown or Jalen Waddle? Bryce, I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this one.
I am. I'm going I love A.J. Brown. Like, I was on board for him all, till I didn't know how he would take being the number 1 receiver with no other options before they brought Julio on. But he's just not been healthy. He's just now getting healthy. So I'm going to wait and make sure that he's starting to produce like I thought he would. But I'm going to go Jalen Waddle here strictly on volume. I think he sees 10 plus targets again this week, and he might only go for 80 yards, but he might get 2 touchdowns again. So I'm going to go Jalen Waddle here so I see some consistency from A.J. Brown.
Sully.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Waddle as well. And Bryce, I could attest to, has been a fan of A.J. Brown for a while. He reminded me every Wednesday night last year.
Yeah.
And I think to steal another Bryce line, this one's a lot closer than we think it's going to be. But it's Waddle for me.
I will also go Waddle for the same reasons that Bryce mentioned. Rick?
On the outlier, I think they finally got A.J. Brown going in the second half of that last game, and I don't think it's going to stop. I think that train has left the building, and A.J. Brown is going to go back to being one of the most dominant wide receivers in the league.
$5
I just
bet.
hope. Yeah.
All right, I'll take Waddle over it.
It is always Waddle or Jacoby Myers with you.
I love
bets.
Yeah,
one of the two. Never
Waddle
fails.
has yet to lose it for me. So
I feel like I'm handicapped a little bit this week because A.J. Brown, whatever Chipotle fed him last week,
He's not eating there anymore.
No, and he said they reached out to him to try to fix the situation, and the reporter said, "Well, are you ever going to eat there again?" And he's like, "No." That's bad press right there, buddy. But it's been a week because this happened before. That's what he showed up on the report for, like last Friday or last Saturday, and he's been on the injury report because of this bad Chipotle for a week. That's why he's on the cover photo. Photoshopped in a little bit of Dumb and Dumber. But I'm going AJ Brown. But it's 3-1 Jalen Waddle to my AJ Brown. With
I think it's real close.
The poops. So I'll probably lose $5 because I'll probably have to take a dump in the middle of the second quarter. It won't be done until the middle of the third.
Pull Lamar on you.
0.5 PPR, Khalil Herbert or Miles Sanders. This one's going to be fun. So, Bryce, who is that over on Facebook?
That's Joe Lindsay.
Joe Lindsay. So this is the league I'm in with Joe. We just made a trade this week. Had some fun. Sully, where are you going? Khalil Herbert or Miles Sanders?
I am going Miles Sanders by a very healthy margin here. Matt, what are you doing?
I would agree. I'll go Miles Sanders, and it's not particularly close. With Damian Williams suiting up, I don't think this is close at all. Bryce?
I was really hoping that this week people weren't going to be on Miles Sanders because I wanted to be the guy that was on Miles Sanders. Unfortunately, seems like everybody's catching up, or a lot of people are catching up. The squeaky wheel narrative in play. Miles Sanders for me. Bryce, you making a clean sweep?
Oh, yeah. Pretty easily here with Damian Williams. If Damian Williams wasn't suiting up, I think it would be actually pretty close because I think Herbert, you said last week that he can catch the ball out of the backfield, but Damian Williams has been doing that very well his entire career. So Miles Sanders by a wide margin for me as well.
Simplex says, thanks for the Bateman info. No problem. That is what we are here for, and we love dropping some knowledge. But as always, these are your lineups. These are your players. Take all the information you get, no matter where it's from, and make that decision for yourself so you can sleep at night and don't send me death threats.
Sure.
Tim
sounds like that might have actually happened the way you described that in such detail.
I've received some messages, but listen, this is fantasy football, and as these guys can attest to, in 3 seasons, I've had one saying that has stayed true since the beginning. We don't know half of the shit that we think we know.
Amen.
Football's a funny game, right? I skipped somebody. We think we have people in the best possible matchup, and then they dud on us, and we're like, what the happened? It's just the way the game goes, right?
Yeah.
Tim says, got to start 2. 1 running back, 1 flex PPR. Mixon, Miles Sanders, Darrell Williams, D-Hop. This one's a good one.
Yes,
Matt, we're going to start with you.
I'm going to go Mixon and, man, I don't want to sit Darrell Williams or Sanders. I'll go Mixon and Hopkins because I'm not going to sit Hopkins. I know his target share's down, but I'll go Mixon Hopkins here.
Bryce?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going Mixon and D-Hop. Mixon just gets so many touches. This Ravens defense has not been that great this year. He's going to be heavily involved, and I'm not sitting DeAndre Hopkins. So I agree with Matt.
Sully?
Give me the running backs. I'm going to go with Miles Sanders for lots of reasons already mentioned, and Joe Mixon as well, because, again, it's clear path to touches. I love D-Hop, but I just see this being a quiet game for him. I'll take the backs.
Yeah, I'm not sitting Hopkins, so I'm on the Mixon Hopkins train. This is a very, very good problem to have when we're talking about Bimageddon, Bipocalypse, unhappy flex week, whatever you want to call it. This is an unbelievable squad you've got going on here if these are the guys you're considering sitting. So, Tim, good luck. and let us know how you did next week. Simplex is back. Says Ryan or Winston to start today. This is easily Matt Ryan for me. Not even a question. Just look at the Vegas over-unders on Winston's numbers. Both quarterbacks in that game have over-unders of like 205 and 206 for a combined like 400 passing yards, when Matt Ryan could end up putting up 400 by himself today against the Dolphins in that type of shootout. Matt, you're the Dolphins fan. Are they going to stop Matt Ryan here?
No, we can't stop anyone. Matt Ryan, not close. Sully?
I thought Matt Ryan was washed after the first couple of weeks, but he's really played well of late. And Jameis Winston throws the ball 20 times a game, so it's not close. It's Matt Ryan for sure.
Bryce?
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, Matt Ryan, it wasn't, I watched a lot of those first games, and it was just the offensive line was just playing so horrible. He couldn't do anything back there. I don't think any quarterback would have been successful in that situation. Matt Ryan can still play as a good fantasy asset. It's easily him this week.
You love Matt Ryan.
I do. He's a super, super reliable guy.
Definitely reliable. And how do you stop Winston from throwing 30 interceptions? You don't
let him throw him.
Yeah, throw it 15 times.
Hey, you know what he's on pace? You know what he's on pace for this year in 17 games? 41 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Oh,
really?
That Green Bay game really, that Green Bay game really props those numbers up, huh?
And he threw 4 touchdown passes in last game.
Wow.
He's not getting there.
Go get your MVP bet then.
1,500 yards?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Gibson or McKissick, Sterling Shepard or Pittman?
Pittman.
Well, one's obvious, yeah.
Yeah.
Pittman. Well, that's rough. With that wind in that game.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I thought we agreed Shepard wasn't playing.
But we
don't know that yet for sure. I'm still looking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
think he is.
I don't know if you think he's going to be out.
I think he is, but I haven't seen any definitive active, inactive stuff yet.
Yeah, these people in Discord may be giving dumb info.
There's some slippery cats in there.
I start Sterling Shepard if he's starting, but I'm wondering if this person can start Gibson and McKissick, or if this is a running back versus wide receiver situation. Because I might start Gibson and McKissick if that weather is really going to be that bad for the passing game. Because if it's 20 mile an hour winds, that's one thing. But if it's going to get up to 40 mile an hour winds,
80% chance of rain too.
And rain is a very hard situation. We saw this last year with Cleveland for like 3 out of 4 weeks. Neither team in those games could throw the ball. There was just too much wind. So that would be my question, is if it's a running back versus a wide receiver, or if you can put one of those in the flex. If not, it's obviously looking like Pittman, and I'm going McKissick this week over Gibson if it comes down to that. Bryce.
Yeah, I've had a buddy ask me the same question several times this week. Gibson or McKissick, and for a little bit there, it looked like Gibson wasn't going to play this week, but now he is. But even if he is, I'm going McKissick. They should be down, and he's obviously the better third down back or back out of the backfield. So McKissick, and then obviously it's got to be Pittman if that's your only option. You might get a lot of slant routes, 2 or 3 yards. You could at least throw the ball in the wind in that distance. So,
Sully. This one's hard for me. And not the wide receiver bit. I'm sure it is Pittman if Shepard is out. I have a hard time starting McKissick over Gibson, even with his situation with his shin. I think Jarrett Patterson has a role if Gibson doesn't play, and McKissick's role stays the same. But they will have to throw, and they probably do run the 2-minute drill a lot. But I just can't sit Gibson here. I'm going to go Gibson and Pittman.
I will also go Gibson and Pittman for the same reasons that Sully mentioned.
I will say, remember, a target is worth 2.8 carries. That's why I like McKissick. That'd be my argument to that is McKissick in these games where they trail just gets a ton of targets.
If Gibson was Damian Harris, then I would probably go McKissick. But, I mean, Gibson still gets a couple targets each week. He has the ability to do that. So
Well, it was a wide
I get what
receiver,
you're saying, but I will go Gibson.
I understand that too. It's a good point.
Metcalf or Pittman, and because of the weather, this is easily Metcalf for me, even with Geno Smith at quarterback. Matt.
I'm going to go Metcalf as well. Didn't we have weather concerns in the Seattle game also, or no?
Yeah, not quite as bad as
Okay.
what's forecasted in San Francisco.
I'll go Metcalf, though, here. Sully?
Metcalf popped up on the injury report all of a sudden Friday or Saturday with an ankle injury. He doesn't have that attached to him going into Monday. So he's clear. He's going to play. Michael Pittman is in a nasty environment. If both these teams were playing in a dome, I would actually go Pittman over Metcalf this week, but they're not. So I will go with Metcalf.
Yeah, I agree. I think the answer is given for you just based on the horrible weather conditions that Pittman's going to be playing in. So Metcalf and Geno Smith does his target share was actually equal with Lockett and Metcalf, but the previous game when he did come in kind of last minute when Ruff got hurt, he was peppering Metcalf. So I'm going to go Metcalf as well.
We got Lattimore shadowing Metcalf on Monday night, and he basically shut him out the last couple of times they've played, or the last time they played. So that's a concern for me as well.
Yeah, Lattimore is just kind of underrated.
He's been up and down this year. Some games he's been fantastic, and then others, I'm pretty sure he played Pittman early in the season, and Pittman or Galladay, and one of them just roasted him for like 140 yards.
K1, I just want to say thank you for the super chat. I think that was for a question we already answered, but if I'm missing a question here that you wanted answered for this, please let me know and I will make sure to get that in there. But I wanted to say thank you. That is very much appreciated. And just so everybody knows, if you drop those super chats, that moves you to the top of the line. Other than that, we just go straight down the list of questions in order. Garrett Pepin says full PPR need 2: James Conner, Miles Sanders, Devontae Booker, or Damian Williams. Sully, 2 of these guys. Where are you going with it?
Oh, I like 3 of the 4. Williams is out, so it's down to Conner, Sanders, and Booker. I think this is a James Conner game, like you alluded to earlier. And I really like Devontae Booker this week, but I'm going to stay with my Miles Sanders train. So I'm going Conner and Sanders.
I would agree that I would leave out Damian Williams. I can't stand running backs that don't get involved in the pass game, so I'm going to kick Conner out, even though this game script should be perfect for him. I'll go Sanders and Booker. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. I like all 4, honestly. But Miles Sanders and Devontae Booker are going to be more involved this week than the rest in both the pass and the run game. So it's going to be them pretty easily for me personally.
Sanders, Booker for me as well, for all the reasons that these guys hit on. Vertical Yeti. Should I start Gaskins or Corey Davis? This is the shit we were hoping for today, right? With all this. These are the hard ones. The players that make you feel gross putting in your lineup. Bryce, Gaskins, or Corey Davis?
I'm going Miles Gaskins. I know we talked about Corey Davis got shut down the last time they played the Patriots. Jamison Crowder is going to be there this week, but I think J.C. Jackson stays on Corey Davis, and I think he's significantly better than him when it comes to, that matchup. So I'm going to put in Gaskins and hope that he gets involved more in the run game this week. He's getting the most targets out of the backfield, out of the running backs, but they're doing like a 3-headed monster, and it's just not working. Miles Gaskins is the best player, and I think that he gets the opportunity to kind of show it this week. Sully, I know you love Miles Gaskins.
I'd like to punch him in the face personally, but maybe I think it's Brian Flores that I want to hit more.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely Flores' fault.
I think
the owner down. Punch everyone in.
I'm wrong on Miles Gaskin every single week, but where I connect the dots here is if you go back to the London game and when they needed to throw, it was Miles Gaskin.
Yep.
And they're going to need to throw again today because I think we're talking shootout in that game against Atlanta. So I do not like this by any at all, but I'm going to go Gaskins as well.
I'm the same as you, Sully. I think that's going to be a fast-paced, high-scoring game. So I will go Gaskins as well because I expect him to be in the backfield when the Dolphins are trailing. Rest of the season, I kind of like Gaskins because I expect the Dolphins to be trailing a lot.
First, I just want to make sure we're on the same page that we want to punch Flores and not Myles Gaskin because
just everybody in the organization.
That poor guy
punch whoever I want to punch.
To us personally. Well, I hope Myles Gaskins punches you back. I hope you.
Well, I don't, because that'll be a pretty quick fight.
I'm just saying, some players we can be upset at their lack of production, but sometimes it's just not their freaking fault. And this is a case of it's not freaking Gaskin's fault. He's productive when he gets the chance, but for some reason, Dolphins have just been this way with running backs, going back to when they were, forcing what's his name over Drake and Damian Williams.
You go back even further when Lamar Miller was the best back there, and I can't remember who was in the backfield with him back then, but he didn't get used either.
Yeah, it's just been a theme with the Dolphins, and hopefully they figure that out sometime. But I'm also going Gaskins here. I just don't want him to get punched in the face.
I think that was back when Damian Williams wasn't good, or at least he wasn't good with the Dolphins when he was the backup to Lamar Miller. And then next thing you know, he leaves Miami, and he's actually like a great running back.
Damian Williams, Drake, and the one that went to the Eagles and everybody got hype over again. He had like 60% of his production in 200.
Barrage?
No.
Oh, Ajayi, yeah.
That was,
I'm about to say Ajayi was the last dude they used.
They were forcing Ajayi over both Drake and Damian Williams.
Adam
and then it
Gase
wasn't until he left. And then they were forcing Damian Williams over Drake. It's just been a whole situation in Miami. Screw them.
Welcome to my life.
Myles Gaskin, if you're watching, I'd like to apologize, and good luck today, buddy.
If Gaskins goes to Canada and punches Sully in the face,
two things are going to happen today. Miles Sanders is going to get a half a point because I'm all over him, and Gaskin's going to get about 100. So,
should I trade away Aaron Jones for Travis Kelce in a PPR? Other running backs are Eckler, Mixon, Gordon, and Davis. Tight end is Ertz. So basically, he's downgrading from starting Mixon to or Aaron Jones to either Gordon or Davis if he's flexing one of that third running back, but he's improving from Zach Ertz to Travis Kelce. Which way are you going with this, Matt?
I'm going to go Kelce. I like Aaron Jones. Obviously, he's an RB1 in fantasy. As the season goes on, I could see them getting more work to the other backs in the backfield as well, just kind of pitching in a little bit more throughout each game. So I'm going to go Kelce. I just have the safe play at tight end.
Bryce?
I don't know if I would make that trade. I like having a lot of running back depth, and having three running backs in your starting lineup like Eckler, Mixon, and Aaron Jones is just so – that's amazing to have every week. Mm-hmm. If I were you and I wanted to upgrade tight end, I would go try and find maybe a lesser tight end that's producing and see if you can get maybe a running back better than Mike Davis to also plug in your lineup. I'd look more for a package deal rather than a one-for-one. I just don't know if this is – I don't know if the difference between Ertz and Kelce is like – I guess it's probably better than the difference between Aaron Jones and Mike Davis. I just think it's pretty lateral of a move personally. So I don't think I would. I'd look to go try and package Aaron Jones for a solid replacement and to upgrade it.
I just want to chime in real quick in regards to what Bryce just said. If you are looking at other tight ends that you could potentially trade for, I like the idea of going to get Ricky Seals-Jones and Logan Thomas. Just adding both of them to your roster and just having that guy in Washington that's playing 80 to 90% of the snaps each week. And go ahead, Sully.
I'm going to counter that because I think that is – I don't like that approach at all because you're only getting one player. Even though you're getting two players, you're only getting one player in that situation. I would rather get one of those guys plus another option that could be viable for me, especially with a lot of guys right now that are either hurt or not being productive that we expect to be productive for the remainder of the season. I'd rather take the chance on getting 2 players that are going to be in my lineup. We don't even know who's going to be the tight end in Washington when Logan Thomas returns because of how Ricky Seals-Jones is playing. So I don't really like handcuffing my tight ends per se. So I just wanted to bring that up.
For the record, I was expecting Logan Thomas to be free, either a free agent acquisition or something that basically somebody's giving up, not something that you're actually having to pay like an asset for.
Well, yeah, but you're still using 2 roster spots for 1 player is basically what I'm saying. And
that makes sense.
And if I'm handcuffing, I'm definitely not doing it at tight end,
Also
I guess. Sully, what are your thoughts?
I'm slamming the accept. I don't know what we're talking about here. I'm going to take Travis Kelce, who is a top 5 wide receiver most weeks. And then I'm going to start Eckler, who's a top 5 running back, with Mixon, who's a top 15 running back. And I'm going to win my fantasy title. I don't see what the debate is here. And here's an interesting one for you that nobody saw coming. Ramondre Stevenson is inactive today.
Oh,
shocker.
Brandon Bolden? What? Why? I'm so confused.
Who knows?
Patriots.
Who knows?
Hashtag Patriots. Okay, so this Aaron Jones thing, I don't care what. This is the thing that I think a lot of people get caught up in, and I seen a thing this morning about quarterbacks on Twitter. It doesn't matter where the points come from. It doesn't matter if they come from tight end or if they come from running back or wide receiver. And for me, I would rather keep that running back because we've seen Mixon banged up. We've seen Eckler banged up. And right now, Gordon and Davis are getting solid floors. They're solid floor plays. But Aaron Jones, Eckler, and Mixon, having that trio gives you a nice ceiling as well. So I'm keeping Aaron Jones in this situation.
You don't worry about Dylan's increased usage week over week in that offense.
I mean, we could argue the same thing with Kelce and Hill, right? Like Kelce doesn't have a ceiling of Aaron Jones because of Hill's usage in that offense. Like Kelce's going to get you 17 to 20 fairly consistently. It's been less consistent this year than in the past couple years. But he's not going to get you very many 30-point games. And we know that Aaron Jones has 3 touchdown, 45-point fantasy upside. So that's something that you're giving up when you go get that tight end, even if that tight end is going to be more consistent in that 17 to 20-point range. You're just not getting that 40-point upside that you get with Aaron Jones that I like to have because it can win you a week. So that's where I'm at on that. I mean, I like getting Kelce if I can, but I just think sacrificing that depth at running back could be troublesome if stuff goes bad.
Real quick, Gibson is active. Shepard is inactive.
Okay, so they were right about Shepard. He is inactive, and Dante Pettis is really an option in 2021.
Devontae Parker's out as well.
Inactive? Good.
Yeah, Devontae Parker's inactive, and Evan Ingram is active.
I can tell you that every one of my DFS lineups this week currently has Tua, Waddle, Gesicki, and comes back with Calvin Ridley on the other side.
I like that a lot.
Start one in standard scoring. Alex Collins versus Saints in rainy weather and didn't practice much this week. Michael Carter versus Patriots, or Ramondre Stevenson versus Jets. We just got news. Ramondre Stevenson is inactive. So Michael Carter or Alex Collins, this is just what we need, right? We need a viable running back option to be a healthy scratch in a week where everybody's scratched already. Matt, where are you going here? Michael Carter, Alex Collins?
I will go Collins, and don't love either.
Bryce?
I'm going Collins fairly easy here. I don't mind Collins. I think that run game is very good. I think he gets 15 touches at least, and we just got to hope he finds the end zone. The Patriots have been a lot better. I think it's good to note the Patriots have been a lot better against the run this year. They struggle really bad against backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and it seems like they're not really using Michael Carter as that role. They kind of just split that between all three when it comes to the back out of the backfield. I think Ty Johnson leads the running backs in targets if I remember my statistics correctly. So Alex Collins pretty easily here.
Sully.
I don't like this at all. It's probably Alex Collins, but again, he's banged up. He's got multiple injuries. Rashad Penny's coming back. The weather dictates that Seattle will run the football more than anything else, and that's the only reason I'm going him over Michael Carter, who I think is taking over that backfield and will have a pretty decent day against New England, but slightly Alex Collins for me.
Michael Carter for me. He's starting to get more touches out of that backfield. I believe Tevin Coleman's out too, right?
Yes, he is.
Out stuff. So with Coleman out of the equation and it just being him and Ty Johnson, I'm going Michael Carter for reasons said. What was the number there, Sully, on the Saints run defense?
I think they've given up 48 to 53 yards per game on the ground this year.
That's tough. So I'm going Michael Carter here. I like him as a floor play too. He's been getting solid production on his touches, right? 8 to 10 points every week.
I'm going to change my answer. I'm with you on Carter.
Boom. Converted. Hashtag
it was close.
Converted.
It was close. I don't know if I want hashtag converted, but that's cool.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, let's get back to football. Pick 2, Ayuk, Robbie Anderson, Corey Davis, full PPR. Thanks, fellas. Bryce, where you going here?
Man,
this is what we thought we were getting, right?
Yeah, it's horrible, but I think Robbie Anderson's my favorite out of these 3 for this week. With Ayuk's the playing conditions we've talked about all morning, I'm gonna go Corey Davis strictly on volume. I'm just gotta hope that he gets at least 10 points, but he also has a floor of like 3 against JC Jackson, but I'm still going with Robbie Anderson and Corey Davis.
Sully.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think even without the weather, I don't think I'm going Brandon Ayuk in any of my lineups anytime soon. It seems like he did something to upset Kyle Shanahan, and he's getting the Dante Pettis treatment. So Corey Davis and Robbie Anderson for me, and just hope that they both score.
Davis and Anderson as well for me. I feel like at some point Anderson's got to come around with the targets he's getting. At some point, he's got to have the blow-up game. But I've been saying that for 2 or 3 weeks now. So, but I'll go Anderson and Davis.
I've been on the Anderson train as well. He is my favorite out of the 3, and I am going with Corey Davis as well because I just don't think we can start Ayuk, especially in a game where there's 30 to 40 mile-an-hour winds potentially. A-Rob, go ahead.
Sorry. Darius Slayton is active for the Giants, if that matters to anyone.
Not really. Still firing up Dante Pettis. I just think he's still going to get 10 targets, and it's stupid I'm really considering this. Joshua Dyer says, A-Rob versus Collins versus Freeman. Am I crazy for going with Freeman over A-Rob? Yep. Sully.
Yes, I think that there is eventually going to be a game where Allen Robinson is a viable option. In my weekly start sit, I have him as a start this week. We've talked about how you beat Tampa Bay through the air. Tampa Bay's D-backs coach, this is a fun fact that I came across this morning, is out with COVID, and Richard Sherman is their D-backs coach today. So we'll see if that matters.
He's only been with the team for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and he doesn't know how to play his position anymore, so he might as well coach it. So, but I like Allen Robinson this week. I like Darnell Mooney this week. I like the passing game for the Bears this week because they're going to have to throw, and volume is king. So I would easily play Robinson over.
I will say
that
we are now trying to convert Joshua off of Collins because he followed that up immediately a minute later saying, I'm starting Collins. I decided half PPR. So who are you going with there, Bryce? Let's see if we can get him to change from Collins.
Yeah, I'm going A-Rob over all of these guys for all the reasons Sully said. I don't necessarily think it's crazy to go Freeman because, like Rick mentioned earlier, Latavius Murray is not playing this week. Freeman looks decent in the amount of touches that he got, but Allen Robinson's a stud. They're going to have to throw. It's against Tampa Bay. Justin Fields has got to target his best player on that offense. So I'm going A-Rob pretty easily.
Matt, what are you thinking?
A-Rob as well for me. Same sentiment as the Robbie Anderson thing. Eventually, this is going to have to turn around. So I'll go A-Rob.
Two of the 3 Bucks cornerbacks are rated at lower than 125 by Pro Football Focus. 2 of the 3.
You want to explain to people what that means?
That just means they don't play very well. They're not good. The metrics in which Pro Football Focus rates every positional player is, and I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but it basically rates their success rate at playing their position. And both of those guys in Tampa Bay don't have very much success playing their position.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to know, because people don't know what 125 on the rating scale means.
Right.
When, what is a good one? What is a good cornerback rated at?
I can't remember the names of their cornerbacks, but the other one, the one that isn't, is the 3rd ranked corner by Pro Football Focus. So he's quite good. We need Brad or Craig to help me out with this one, but whoever's on that side of the field is probably going to have a tougher day. So I don't know if that's Robinson or Mooney, but I think the Bears move you guys around anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on A-Rob too. I think that was a clean sweep there. Pedro, and we're going to have to go faster, guys. We got 15 minutes and a bunch of questions to get caught up here. So he said, I picked up Greg Zuerlein for the rest of the season and dropped my kicker for the week to keep Kadarius Toney, have wide receivers Kirk, McLaurin, whatever, Cup, Mike Williams, and Toney. Only the kicker spot, empty 3-3 record.
So he's taking a donut. He's taking a donut.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
I think he's saying he's taking the 0 so that he can keep
these guys.
Tony, Kirk, McLaurin, Cup, Mike Williams, and I think that's the right decision.
Listen, if you're gonna sacrifice a week, that is 100% fine. And hopefully, because of this situation, you can still get a dub even with the 0 in your lineup.
Is Zuerlein on a bye then, or what?
Yeah.
So why not just drop him for another kicker? Kickers are a dime a dozen.
But he already did that already.
Why
he dropped
not?
his kicker and he picked up Zuerlein because he likes Zuerlein for the rest of the season.
I don't like the chance of taking a 0 and going to 3 and 4 over just having one kicker versus another kicker. Like, just bring the kickers.
Yeah, that's true too.
I don't like the idea of taking a 0 here. I
don't know anything about kickers. I don't know who's playing, who's not, because I literally have one league with kicker.
The only thing I know is you don't want the Minnesota one.
I would drop Zuerlein and get you a kicker if you can
before
the game then.
The Cowboys
which is what
kicker.
Anthony, who writes the kicker article for Roto Heat, says. You don't need to roster Zuerlein. You can stream kicker every week. I'm 100% on board with that. I didn't recognize in that whole thing that Zuerlein was on bye. So Jay Sally says Bright or OJ Howard, and this is easily OJ Howard for me. Anybody, if he plays,
right?
Because I guess there's some up in the air stuff.
Yeah, he's questionable.
Anybody opposed to Howard over Bright?
No.
Nope. Howard is
Nope. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep up on actives and inactives. No, I have no problem with that. I don't want to start either, but if I have to, it's OJ Howard.
Anthony says bad Chipotle. Let's go vegan. Anybody going vegan?
No.
That's the dumb questions get dumb answers.
No.
Yeah, drop broccoli, grab a steak.
Yeah. Steak
for this
lunch
week
and dinner
only,
Friday.
Flex, Mooney, or Ruggs? Anybody going Ruggs?
No, Mooney.
Everybody's on Mooney. I figured that would be the case. DZ Lazy says, morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sergio says, should I play Cordarrelle Patterson or Mike Davis running back today? I've talked about Mike Davis's floor, but I'm going to guess everybody here is playing Cordarrelle Patterson.
Pretty easily.
Yeah. It's a weird year, man, but it is CP.
Cordarrelle Patterson, it is unanimous. DZ is lazy says, did you guys go over the Gibson versus McKissick dilemma? My 3 available running backs are Hubbard, Gibson, and McKissick. I'm personally going Hubbard, McKissick, but I believe everybody else here is Hubbard, Gibson. Is that correct?
I'm McKissick.
You're McKissick?
I'm Hubbard, Gibson.
So am I.
Hubbard
so
McKissick.
we're 2-2 there. Hubbard, Gibson.
I'm almost Gibson and McKissick, but I'm Hubbard and Gibson.
I like Hubbard over both.
Chubbard. I think
I like Chubbard for sure.
Can we just call him Chubbard from now on?
Yeah,
I always call him Chuba. I call him Chuba. I know
Chuba.
I like Chuba.
I
Two
love
weirdos.
Chuba this week.
Yeah, but that's okay.
It's raining like cats and dogs here in the Bay. I would fade all pass catchers not named Debo Samuel this week. Low A dot is key.
Breaking news. Man on the scene.
He is also our weatherman. So he
He's
writes.
outside that.
I want him outside of Levi tonight, live streaming with weather updates.
He writes about kickers and weather. That's how important he is to the Roto Heat squad.
He's probably giving out parking tickets somewhere too at some point during his day.
And he believes that Ben Roethlisberger is still a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
So if you want to trust his weather report, Bryce, we got a Facebook one over here. Who is this? Sorry, got in here late. PPR, stay with Shepard if he plays or go to Callaway. We found out Shepard is out, right?
He is 100% inactive.
You're playing Callaway.
Yep.
Done.
Travis Ratliff.
Travis Ratliff, another buddy I've known for a very long time. That made it easy for you. I ended up having a pretty solid team, 10-team PPR. Kyler, Kamara, Mixon, Higbee, Debo, D-Hop, Lamb, Sutton, Josh Jacobs, Darrell Williams, and traded Chuba for Miles Sanders for the long run. Tim.
Good looking team.
I think you did good. I think Tim is the one that had the really good flex options in the question earlier with D-Hop, Williams, Hubbard, and what I think it had Miles.
It was Williams, Miles Sanders, and D-Hop.
Yep. I remember that one now. Peter says, good morning, guys. Tough Heat dynasty question. Half point PPR, Trey Sermon or wait on Rashad Penny? You're keeping one of these. Who are you going with, Bryce?
You're keeping one, like long term?
I don't think so.
Or is it starting?
It's just like who you're starting.
If you're starting one today, it's Rashad Penny pretty easily. Trey Sermon might see 3 touches.
My eyes are going cross from reading all these questions, and I thought it said keep and not deep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, Rashad Penny easily.
Reading is hard, all right? Reading is hard. Get off my back. Who you playing, Trey Sermon or Rashad Penny?
I'm going Penny.
Penny, easy.
Penny.
Yeah.
Penny.
No questions.
DZ is lazy. How is this for starting lineup? Mahomes, Gibson, Hubbard, Woods, Chase, Cooks, Pitts, Bucks defense, and Suckup. Bench McKissick, Julio Jones, Higbee, and Tyler Boyd.
Looks good.
I think Rick and I are going to say the same thing. You need to put McKissick in over Gibson, and that's.
I think you put Gibson. I think you put McKissick in over Cooks.
Oh, interesting.
Flex McKissick, and I don't know who you're playing this week, but you're going to kill him in this week. Yeah. That's a great lineup.
I would probably go Julio over Cooks before I would go McKissick, but
really, I would go Cooks over Julio.
Julio might not make it out of the first.
Julio
quarter.
might be below Tyler Boyd. No, he's probably not, but
he might not make it out of the first quarter. I don't know how you can confidently put him in your lineup.
I think I'd only take out Gibson and put in McKissick personally.
That's probably where I go. I just.
Like Rick said earlier, Arizona's tough on those wide receivers, right? So
it's true.
They're tougher on the quarterback than they are on the wide receivers. They just don't give the quarterback any time.
Yeah.
And when they face these rookie guys, Trevor Lawrence, terrible numbers versus them. Trey Lance, terrible numbers from them. And I just can't imagine that Davis Mills can break that code and put up good numbers against this defense. Which is why their defense is the Arizona defense is like projected for 30% in DFS this week on DraftKings.
They're expensive though. Hey, you got to pay up for that.
31. No, they're only 3,100.
Oh,
middle of the pack. But you just don't really ever see a defense that highly owned, but they've been that good against the pass. So I agree with Gibbs. It's just so hard for me to play Gibson. We're talking about, playing Julio Jones, and I think Gibson is kind of the same situation with that shin. You take one hit with that shin, and it's hard to run when you have you ever had shin splints? Because I'm guessing that's about what he feels like he's got.
Shin splints are brutal. Don't get them. They suck.
Sam Darnold or Tyler Heineke? These are the questions we like, because these are the tough ones to swallow when you finally hit submit and the game starts.
It's Heineke for me. Darnold has been absolute dog doo-doo the last couple of weeks. If he's not rushing in for touchdowns, he's not a startable asset.
Bryce. I'm also going Heineke.
I'm going Darnold. Heineke had the Heineke was supposed to be a great play last week, and he utterly disappointed against arguably one of the worst defensive secondaries in the NFL against the Chiefs.
But they're not one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. It's a myth.
Are they not? I mean, didn't somebody just tear him up the week prior?
Yeah, but look at the quarterbacks that they faced this season before they faced Taylor Heineke.
I'm still going to go Sam Darnold with the rushing touchdown upside.
You don't have to be right on all of them, Bryce.
Well, I just think that they're both bad.
Fair. Yeah,
neither of them are good.
Well, I agree with that.
The thing I like about Sam Darnold is the fact that you do have DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson in that pass game. Even though Robbie Anderson hasn't done much, Robbie Anderson has a history of being at least a solid to above average NFL wide receiver, whereas it's Terry McLaurin and Ricky Seals-Jones in that situation for Taylor Heineke. And even though Terry McLaurin is my favorite out of the bunch, he's not that much further ahead of DJ Moore than I would like. So Sam Darnold is the answer for me against that porous Giants secondary that they're facing this week.
Split down the middle. So you got to flip your own coin.
Yep. Go to the chat. Is Traquan Smith playing on Monday? As far as I know, but
I'm trying to see if he's come off IR yet.
I thought he was already off IR.
Okay, he is. He practiced on Thursday, so I'd say if he's off IR and he practiced on Thursday, then he's a go.
Yeah.
The problem is that he's a blocking wide receiver and not a route running wide receiver, and that's what.
Don't you think he has to be a route running wide receiver this week though, without Deontay?
I've thought that a number of times with Mike Thomas out.
It's only him and Callaway now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. That's the problem. He's not asking if he should start him. He's just asking if he's playing. But
I'd say he probably is, but I can't say for sure.
Dirtbag coach. I don't even know what this is going to, unless that was all the way back. That can't be all the way back.
To the Richard Sherman? Is that in relation to Richard Sherman?
Oh,
yeah,
it could be
probably
that,
Richard Sherman. Yeah.
Or us punching Flores. I don't know.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
We did drop in New England. We did drop a Gase mention at some point earlier too, so I'm going to assume about him.
Anthony, if you go to the parking lot and give live weather reports, I will get you on I will put you up on the stream, and you can just stream live weather reports.
You should do it like the girl from Mean Girls.
You should do it like Anchorman.
80% chance it's raining. She could tell the weather with her boobs. So it's so funny.
I think Anthony could pull a good
Anchorman.
What's his name? Anchorman. I'm blanking on the actor's name.
Will Ferrell.
No, the weatherman is Michael Scott from The Office. What the hell's his name?
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Thank you. I know, right?
Peter says play this week.
That's a good idea. I'm playing this week for sure.
I'm going to as
well. I'm getting signed to a 1-day contract. I will be dead by the end of the slate today, but it will be fun. Thomas says it was when Sully and D-backs coach. Oh,
so it was.
You said D. You were talking about Sherman, but
Sherman.
making a. Okay, gotcha.
I thought I was a D-bag coach for a second there.
Yeah, I know.
Which is also probably right.
That too.
I know it was 15 minutes ago, Thomas. Do you know how many comments we have?
Yeah, seriously,
questions?
Thomas.
We have stuff.
We don't even know what day or time it is where he is. So,
well, I can tell you this: we're doing the round table last night,
like Monday afternoon.
He shows up at 1:30 in the morning, like, "Good morning, guys," because he literally just woke up.
That's awesome.
So then I end up staying on there till 3:00.
Shouldn't he be our European correspondent?
Yeah. What we need? Yeah. What's going on when we have London?
Get your ass to London, man. Let's go.
It can't be that far of a drive.
He's not even close to those games. is on the other side of the pond.
Oh, we are caught up on the questions, though. If anybody has any more, we have about 3 minutes, so you better get them in real fast.
I gotta do some
I
DFS
had
lineups. I got
one.
about 400 guys I like this week.
I had one and I can't remember what it was. Let's see.
I did
I had
too.
a
I had
start
a,
sit for you guys too, and I can't remember what it is.
I had a goater. What about Tyler Johnson or John Ross? We're going Johnson, right?
John Ross is never the answer.
So there was a stat I came across this week when
Oh, I remember one.
last time AB was out, Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller split the number of routes, and they both were heavily on the field. So Scotty Miller's on IR. I think Johnson is a viable option this week for sure.
Yeah.
I don't like John Ross. John Ross
I
is
got one.
questionable.
I got a good one for the
Okay.
bye week.
Okay,
Ooh,
hold
right.
that for 1 second. The one thing I will say is that the difference now is that they may run more 2 tight end, Brait and OJ Howard, like they were already doing, getting both of them involved more. It would be my only thing to that with Scotty Miller out and
That's
not
fair.
having that 4th wide receiver option with AB out. But that offense is hard to predict week to week anyway, right? So I'm trying not to predict 4th, 5th replacement receivers if I don't have to.
Plus, they're using Fournette more.
So, Bryce, do you have any insight on what's going on with Stevenson?
I just looked, and I don't think anybody
it's New
besides Bill
England.
Belichick has
Hashtag
insight.
Patriots.
He doesn't
He
like
must-
rookie running backs.
Are we on
I-
Brandon Bolden then as his replacement?
No.
I'm not.
Not the-
Yeah.
You both were
plugging
so
in-
disgusted.
Listen, I'm putting in Brandon Bolden over Trey Sermon now in my lineup.
Well,
I would do that.
That's
Yeah.
Trey Sermon.
Yeah, but like from last week.
All
don't
right,
know
I
if
have
will.
one. Brandon Bolden or Gainwell?
Brandon Bolden.
I go Bolden.
Bolden.
Okay, Demarcus Robinson or Zach Pascal. It was Pascal, but now the weather.
Robinson.
Robinson.
Just because he's
Robinson.
attached to Mahomes.
Would now if the weather wasn't bad, would you say Pascal?
Easily. With
Yeah,
Camp
probably.
and Hilton out, it would have been easy.
And you know who I really
Probably
liked
too
as a sneaky sleeper this week, who just got promoted to the main roster, is I liked Kike Kute this week in Indianapolis as well. But
Kiki.
not anymore.
That used to be my guy.
Houston, what?
No, they got the worst receivers ever. Kiki'd actually be decent on their team right now.
Nate
so
Martin
Miller.
says, I would ask you to start, but I don't have any questions because I just have to put in the active players.
That's awesome.
Corey Davis or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Sully.
I'll go Davis. I don't love
I'm
it.
going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's running all the routes. He's getting targets, especially in the red zone, the 2 or 3 times they get there each week. I'll go with Amon-Ra here.
Yeah, I am too. I'm on Ross St. Brown. I think he and Swift may see potentially 10 plus targets each this week. Jared Goff might have to throw 60 times today.
Revenge game for him too.
Yeah, I mean, poor guy doesn't have anyone to throw to, but
And his coach hates him.
It's Davis for me. We're talking about bad matchups, and Amon-Ra's got one of those.
do you think he gets shadowed by? Do you think he gets shadowed
No.
by?
No, but the
Ramsey,
entire
or-
Rams secondary is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
The
Ramsey
defense is
isn't-
far from what it was, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think the cornerbacks are the problem. They
think-
do have
Yeah,
that bend but don't break kind of mentality with that offense. But when it's literally just Amon-Ra and Hawkinson, there's an issue when it comes to coverage for these guys. They need somebody else to help take some attention away, and none of their options are like super scary, right? So that's the issue with the wide receivers versus just about any secondary in the NFL, let alone one that is as good as the Rams. So I think that basically what I'm saying is that if it's Corey Davis and Amon-Ra, even though Zach Wilson hasn't played great, I do like him more than Goff, and I do think Corey Davis is a better talent than Amon-Ra. But this is it's not pretty either way. I don't feel comfortable about either of them. 12 team PPR, I have QB Herbert, running back Harris, Swift, hiccups. Wide receiver, DK, Chase, Evans, tight end, Mark Andrews. Should I leave my team alone, or try to
What's
make a
your
big-time
record?
trade?
We need more info. What's your record? Are you 5-1? Are you 2-4? Based on this team, I guess you're closer to 5-1.
Leave it alone.
I would just leave it. Looks good to me.
Yeah, looking at it, if you have the record where you can get by without Russ Wilson being the quarterback for the Seahawks with DK,
True.
I would leave it. If you don't have the record to wait for DK to get back to having the potential for huge weeks, which we don't even know, right? Geno's only played one full week. We don't know. He may end up being able to get DK there. DK he's 5-1. Robinson.
I think we've seen enough of Geno Smith to know how that's going to play out.
I don't think we have, because this is,
I think we have
a smart team, and
depending on your depth at running back, I would probably try to acquire Jamal Williams. I think if something happens to Swift, Williams is going to get majority of the work.
Williams is getting phased out of that offense right now, though. 5-1. He's 5-1. Leave it alone.
Sully, you made Matt quit.
Shit happens. It's not the first, won't be the last, brother.
One of these days, I'm going to go on just to see how much I can piss each of you off day and see how that goes.
Did anybody catch
Bryce
anything I said? I think that was lagging.
No, we heard you, Jamal Williams.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I would just leave it alone at 5-1. It is 12:04. That was our last question. Robinson, I hope you move to 6-1. You got a good squad there. Any last notes or players that you like or anything for week 7? Bryce, why don't you if you have anything, let us know.
We didn't really get many questions about him this week, but I really like Darrell Williams again this week. I've talked about it a little bit, where he can be 90 to 95% of what Clyde Edwards-Helaire is in that offense. I think a mediocre back can succeed. So with the bye weeks, he's probably in most of your lineups, but you should feel real comfortable putting him in.
Sully.
Not much to say, not much to add, other than, stay tuned later tonight for waivers that are going to come out. A little waiver video with maybe me this week, maybe Brad again, and Rick. But I think one of the guys we're going to be talking about, other than D'Ernest Johnson, don't forget about him, is going to be Rashad Penny.
Man, D'Ernest Johnson looked good, didn't he? Just looked good as a running back in general. It was fun watching him Thursday.
Way to go, D'Ernest, for just proving another point that the 40 time does not matter.
Right. What do you run, like a 4.7, 4.8? But he's so shifty. He was fun to watch. It kind of reminded me of your boy James Robinson. He looks similar.
I just love a guy who had to DM AAF teams to get a tryout. Good on him for don't give up. It's there's a message there. Don't give up on your dreams. Keep pushing. Good for him. My
cheap long shot play of the week would be Tyler Johnson, somebody we talked about earlier. But yes to that question down there. Waddle over DK.
That's crazy.
Waddle.
Yeah.
Yep.
$5
Waddle.
It's still crazy. Waddle's just a safer floor. I still think DK has the upside that we would like. I just think it's going to hit less often. The ceiling's going to hit less often with Geno Smith at quarterback.
Yeah, it's just
I have one more really ugly one. John Ross or Kadarius Hodge of the Lions? I know. It's bad.
Hodge. I like Kadarius Hodge. He just needs some time and some targets. He'll be okay.
I do too, but I hate that quarterback.
You said never John Ross 5 minutes ago.
I'm going John Ross.
John Ross has had a knack for finding the end zone in his career. I will say that, but he's another guy that we don't know if he'll make it out of the. We don't know if he'll make it out of the tunnel.
Yeah,
which is an issue, but
terrible.
I agree with Sully 100%. I liked Hodge when he was in Cleveland.
Me too.
I thought he was a decent prospect, but I don't want Detroit Lions pass catchers if I can avoid it. DeAndre Swift is the only guy that I really want to play with, a little bit of Hockenson maybe this week versus the Rams.
What a week where we're considering Pettis and Ross.
Do you guys realize, or do you remember, when Goff gets rattled, when he gets pressured, how bad he gets? And really I think that Aaron Donald and the defense is just they are just as likely to go nuts as Matt Stafford is on the offensive side in his revenge game. I think that defense that has been going against Goff for the past few years that couldn't hit him is probably drooling at the lips to put a smacking down. It could be ugly.
Who's the Lions' backup?
David Blau.
He might finish this one out, hey?
Is David
I
Blow
picked
the
him
guy?
up in a couple of Superflex leagues last week after hearing.
You might want to start him. He's going to play the second half, and they're not even going to have guys covering anyone.
Raiders are the late game K1, so we don't have any info on whether Waller is playing at this point, but it's looking scary.
Yeah, it looks bad.
I would probably plan, and this is a week, right, where maybe you just stick with Waller and hope that you get the upside of Waller because you already have a bunch of people out, right? So if you don't have Waller and maybe an L anyway, and Waller
like
playing may give you the chance. So you may take that risk anyway. I don't know. Roster dependent for me. But
Foster Moreau, like Matt said earlier, if you can add him, and then at least you've got something.
For me, it's that Atlanta and Dolphins game. I have Tua, like all my stacks this week are Tua, Waddle, Gasecki coming back with Ridley. It's cheap on DraftKings to get those 4 in there, and you can pretty much go anywhere else you want with that lineup. But I just think that is a sneaky shootout game, and the options are cheap. So I really like that for DFS. Other than that, I just hope that the Bears move the pocket today so Justin Fields doesn't sit back there and get Myles Garretted again by this Tampa Bay defense. Give the kid a shot, and let's see what he can do. Guys, I appreciate it. Next week's going to be a fun one. We're not
2 teams on bye next week. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, and it's Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Spooky.
We might have a surprise for you guys, so make sure you tune in. Until then, we are out.
Bye, everybody.